everyone, Nev here, and this is the next installment of the deep dive of the Pacific Northwest Tarot, and this is the bag that I made for it. I think I'm going to showcase that in every single video here. All right, so we have the box here, and I believe today we are doing the pages and the knights, and I'm also pretty sure that I've already put them at the top here. So this is the book for it, which we will refer to. All right, and now let's see. Yes, so we've got Page of Wands, Page of Cups, Page of Swords, Page of Pentacles, Knight of Wands. Let me move up a little bit. Knight of Wands, Knight of Cups, Knight of Swords, Knight of Pentacles. All right, so let's get started on this. All right. And then we're going to do this first. All right, so, oh, actually, let's leave the pages out right now. All right, we're doing the pages. All right, so pages they represent like a newness. So I think of them as like the apprentices. They're new at this. It might be a new at a job, or they might have a new way of thinking. They might be exploring new emotions, or they're new to a new idea or a new action, because wands often have to do with action, or taking action. So yeah, I mean, that's the general feeling with the Page of pages. There's just a general newness, and an apprenticeship, or a new student sort of energy, that sort of thing. So let's look at what the books say for each of these cards here. All right, the Page of Wands. We have the Kit Fox. So adventure and excitement, creativity, curiosity, precociousness. Yes, this, I would say, of the pages, the Page of Wands feels the youngest to me. It feels the most childlike. It has a childlike curiosity. And, you know, speaking of the court cards and representing people, they often do represent people in our lives, if not ourselves. If we're talking specifically in age, pages often refer to a younger person, like a child or something like that. Precociousness, playfulness, bravery. Yeah, that's a good one too. Maybe a not so smart brave action, that, you know, because there's an inexperience with the pages. Yeah, and a headlong rush. There we go. Yeah, so that's pretty good representation of what I think the Page of Wands is, and I think this is a great image for that. I mean, this Page of Wands looks like it's about ready to jump, and it makes me think of those foxes. I think of the Arctic foxes. I know this is a kit fox, just a little baby fox here, but it makes me think of the Arctic foxes that leap and jump right into the the snow, and it's really hilarious and cute. But that's what this makes me think of. So it's a very good representation of this. All right, so the Page of Cups is like new emotions and things like that. So let's see what the book says for this. It's obviously a type of fish here. Let's see, King, Queen, Knight, Page. All right, so this is a walleye surf perch. Okay, so a dreamer, idealism, naivete. That's a good one for the Page of Cups. Sensitivity, inner child. Again, that child energy here. A moment or message of intuition. So it's kind of that new emotion, or very, yeah, like I think the first two keywords here, a dreamer or idealism, which leads to a possible naivete, is a pretty good representation of the Page of Cups. There's this new feeling, if we're starting with the Page of Wands, there's like this spark of idea, of creativity, and here is that new emotion, or like dreaming of so many possibilities. So let me see with the imagery here. Here, you know, I guess with the imagery here, I'm maybe not seeing what they're going for. Let me read the book for the Page of Cups here. So, a silvery shimmer glints and glimmers underwater. It ripples and wobbles with the waves, breaking apart and reforming. Dive beneath the surface and you can see it more clearly. But it darts and dances, like an impulse, like a feeling. You'll never catch it, never set a hook into its flesh, never hold it in your hands, so don't even try. Let it swim, observe its grace, see how it interacts with the rest of the school. Together they form a pattern, silently moving along complex paths. You can't often see them from above the surface, but they are as much a part of the ocean as the clamorous breaking waves alone above. I don't think, you know what, I don't, I'm going to have to think on this for a while, because I don't know how well I connect the imagery here, or even what it said in the book here, with the Page of Cups. I think the keywords are right on the money. The keywords are perfect. But the description here, and I feel like the description is coming less from the perspective of the fish here, and more a perspective of someone fishing for the fish. I don't know. I'm just not, you know, if you ask me right now, I would say that I don't like this depiction of this card. But who knows? Maybe if I do a bit more study or reflection on this card, I may come around. But as of right now, I think of the pages, this would definitely be the one that I don't really like as far as the depiction of and how I interpret the Page of Cups. All right, so let's move on to the Page of Swords. And I do like this imagery. It does look very like studious almost. I don't know how to explain that, but it does feel very studious to me, or like I don't know, a curiosity to this. So, curiosity. So this is a horned lark. Curiosity, intelligence, inspiration. A quick wit, a fast study. Yes. Yeah, I would say as far as intelligence-wise, the Page of Swords feels the most intelligent, or the most like a quick study, or something like that. There is an eagerness. Both the Page of Wands and the Page of Swords have an eagerness to them. Whereas the Page of Swords does feel the most studious. Like the Page of Cups is very naive. The Page of Swords is going in with a more studious outlook. I keep saying studious, but you know, so eagerness, new ideas and perspectives, communication. So we got the new idea here, new emotions. What did I say the swords was? A new way of thinking. Yeah, yeah, something like that. All right, so and this is the horned lark. Yeah, I said that. All right. So now the Page of Pentacles here. All right, Page of Pentacles is the Townsend's chipmunk. Diligent, dependable, ambition, planning. So I think of it like a new job or a new skill, something like that. Yeah. Starting an investment. That's a good one too. Starting an investment. Planting a seed. The start of a project. And in general, I feel like the pages are that apprenticeship type of energy. It's new at something. So it's not the most intelligent, or in the case of the swords, it quickly becomes it absorbs the information quickly, but it's still in that very much that student area. So yeah, like apprenticeship, new to thoughts and ideas and feelings, and new to a skill, something like that. So there we go. All right, so now we are going to do the knights. And inexperience is the other, the keyword that I was trying to think of with the pages. So we've got the Knight of Wands, Knight of Cups, Knight of Swords, and Knight of Pentacles. So the knights have a lot to do with movement. And the Knight of Pentacles is actually the slowest of all these knights. But there's movement, there is you know, the eagerness that came from the pages are kind of put into motion here in the knights. And sometimes we're going in headlong, like the Knight of Swords here. And the Knight of Swords is, you know, wands are generally considered the suit of like action, but when it comes to the knights, it is definitely the swords. The swords in the knights are the most action oriented. Like, it is going full force into it. Both the knight and the wands are the knight here is, it's more of a call to action, whereas the Knight of Swords is, it's going in headlong, and it is speeding in, zooming in. Like, and I think this is a perfect description of that Knight of Swords. This is excellent here. So, and then the Knight of Cups here, like, they all have to do with change, movement, going for it. The Knight of Cups is the most romantic energy. This is someone who is, I mean, romantic is perfect, but there's a romanticism to the Knight of Cups. Whereas the Knight of the Page of Cups, the Knight of Pages, the Page of Cups is, we've got a new feeling, and there's a naivete toward that feeling. With the Knight of Cups, it's kind of, we've taken that naivete and we've turned it into romanticism. We've maybe romanticized things. If I'm thinking of it in a more negative or challenging context, we've sort of romanticized things that might be not beneficial to us, if that makes sense. That could be a negative of the Knight of Cups. The positive is that they're very passionate. They're very into things, and if that I don't know if that makes sense, but yes, it's you know, each of these are going into something. Like, we've started it with the pages, and now we're going into it with the knights here. And the most cautious of these is that Knight of Pentacles. And this Knight of Pentacles here, and it's come up a few times in these sample readings, but the Knight of Pentacles is a bit more timid and methodical about how it's going into it. Which is funny, because the swords tend to be the suit most associated with, like, intelligence. Whereas in this one, it's taking on that more wands energy with the action. And the Pentacles, I feel like, is kind of taking that swords action. Well, sort of. I mean, there's I'm trying to word this in a way that makes sense, but there's just a more methodical approach with the Knight of Pentacles here. And it's not jumping straight in. It's the card of all these movement cards that is, it's still moving forward, but it is definitely more cautious. So let's see what the book says about each of these suits here. Or each of these suits. All right, Knight of Wands. We have a coyote, and I'm very familiar with coyotes. I grew up in the Mojave Desert, and we had coyotes everywhere. I mean, this is why, like, dogs howling or things like that, really, I almost don't even hear them. And that's because I grew up around coyotes, and pretty much every night I heard coyotes howling. So I just, you know, I've really tuned out that sound of howling canines or coyotes or wolves or whatever. It's something I'm just so used to. I've seen probably hundreds, if not thousands, of coyotes in my life. All right, so coyote, courage. Yes, the Knight of Wands is very courageous. I was saying this like it's a call to action, but it's like a calling of people. It's a very courageous energy, and more kind of makes me think of a Klingon, howling at the death of another warrior, and calling out to Stovacor that that a warrior is about to arrive. As you can tell, I'm quite the Trekkie, but all right. So courage, heroism, adventure, yes. A free spirit, definitely. And yes, a temper, rebellion and impulsiveness. Both the wands and the swords are impulsive energies here. And I think all of these except for the pentacles, I could possibly use the word impulsive for, because we see that more clearly with the wands and the swords. But the Knight of Cups is, like I said, is taking that romanticism and maybe acting impulsively. Whereas the Knight of Pentacles is really the only knight that I would say it's the least impulsive. Or possibly we could consider this impulsive as in running away from something, out of caution. So, I mean, you could say that there's a level of impulsiveness with the Pentacles here. But caution would be the correct thing that I would say there. So temper, rebellion, impulsiveness. Yes, the Knight of Wands can take their temper too far, I would say. And there's that yelling aspect there. That is an energy, the darker side of myself that I've had to overcome. I grew up with someone who yelled all the time. And I mean, this is getting very personal, but I grew up with someone that yelled all the time. And that sort of translated into my adulthood, where I've had to struggle with my way of dealing with conflict by yelling, and being loud and yelling and, screaming and all that. And it took a long time, but I think for the most part, I've really matured, I hope, and excuse me, and just really, learn to move beyond that energy and use screaming and yelling as my coping mechanisms for stress and frustration. But yeah, I would say that over the past probably 5 years, has really been my moment where, I bumped the camera, where I've moved past that yelling. Anyway, that was a very personal, feeling for the Knight of Wands there. All right, so the Knight of Cups. Excuse me. All right, the Knight of Cups, the Pacific white-sided dolphin. So, romance, like I said, love, charm, creativity, beauty, compassion. That's a good one for this that I wasn't saying before. Compassion. The Knight of Cups is a very compassionate. It's passionate. It's romantic. The negative side of it, it can over romanticize situations or people, but it's also a compassionate person, very compassionate and empathetic, I think. So compassion and understanding, emotion motivated into action. Unrealistic expectations. There's that romanticism. Yeah, unrealistic expectations it's another good one for the Knight here. And the imagery here for the Knight of Cups, kind of like with the Page of Cups, I'm not immediately seeing the connection. However, there's something about dolphins in general that sort of give me a romantic vibe, or there's a romanticism to dolphins that I'm having an easier time with the Knight of Cups than I am with the Page of Cups here in seeing the connection. Even though it's not physical, there's nothing, really showing in this image. There's something about dolphins or dolphin imagery, dolphin whatever, that I do see connected with the Knight of Cups. So, I'm not having that same difficulty as the Page. All right, so Knight of Swords. All right, so we have the Northern Goshawk. Goshawk, yes. Directness and ambitiousness. Directness and ambition. And yeah, and this is the most ambitious of these cards, for sure. restless pursuit of an idea, impatience, yes, impatience, perfectionism. That's an interesting, yeah, I could see that, but perfectionism and wit, very witty. Like I said, the Knight of Swords is the swords suit is the suit most associated with intelligence. So general wit or sarcasm with the Knight of Swords, I could see that wasn't one of the key words, but I could see sarcasm, maybe being too loose with the tongue, that sort of thing. All right, so and I think this imagery is perfect for this. Now we are at the Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles, the black-tailed deer. So reliability, that's a good one. Reliability with the Knight of Pentacles. I was saying, I wouldn't say negative words or the negative side of it with the Pentacles when saying that they're maybe overly cautious, but reliable. The Knight of Pentacles is very reliable, whereas I feel like we're seeing less reliability with the rest of this. The Knight of Pentacles is the most practical of these cards. The Knight of Swords might be the most intelligent on the surface level, Knight of Cups the most romantic, and the Knight of Wands possibly the most brave or impulsive or loud, I guess. But the Knight of Pentacles is the most reliable for sure. So reliability, patience, diligence, conservatism. That could be a good word for this. Yeah, conservatism. I think maybe the Knight of Cups could be the most liberal of these cards. Yeah. So the status quo defended, I think that's sort of, could be a negative, could be a positive, but the status quo defended. The Knight of Pentacles really doesn't want to ruffle feathers and really doesn't want to make a lot of change. They just want to keep going and being cautious and conservative about how they act. And so in that sense, they could be the person that doesn't speak up because they don't want to change things, or yeah, something like that. The status quo defended, an endeavor reneged upon. Yes. So yeah, and I think that's a pretty good imagery for it, because we kind of get this feeling that this deer here is spooked by a predator and is running off and being very cautious about when it comes out. And there can be positives and negatives to that. All right, so that is all of these. Now let's move on to the sample readings. Okay, I've shuffled all these. I'm going to do one more little shuffle here. All right, so the Hierophant with the Page of Wands. Teacher and student sort of energy here. And the Three of Wands. So, I mean, that's a lot of the feeling I get from this. And there's, my goodness, a lot of like browns and oranges here. So, yeah, I would see this as the Page of Wands taking what it's learned and starting to put it into action, jumping off that ledge, jumping into action. And I don't know if I mentioned this with when I was doing all the 4 cards, but the major arcana that I most associate with the Page of Wands is the Fool. Yeah, for sure. That Fool energy is what I feel echoed in the Page of Wands. But I feel like it's not going off half-cocked here. It's new at this. It's got that new idea and it's wanting to jump straight into it and has early success with that 3 of Wands here. But we're taking what we've learned, what we've been taught, and we're putting it into action. There might be struggles though, because we are new at this, but we're putting it into action. And yeah, that's a pretty straightforward reading, I think. All right. So with the Page of Cups here, we have the Devil. And we have the 9 of Wands. So this is a bit of a tough reading. I would say that I think there was some sort of negative situation here that we here's that impulsive energy that I get from the pages here. I feel like there was this impulsive action taken by this Page of Cups from this feeling of I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for here. Maybe the keyword for the Devil card is going to say the word that I'm thinking here. There's hedonism, addiction, excess, temptation. Maybe temptation is what I'm looking at, or a lust action that was taken. Maybe we've given into lust and we're wounded in the end, or we've given into a temptation. That could be it. We've given into a temptation, because I feel like this Page of Cups is given into this, or has, if we're thinking about it like a relationship or an affair or something like that, maybe this Page of Cups has given into this temptation and wounded. They themselves have been wounded, or they wounded their partner, something like that. That's a sort of negative way I could read this, or a more challenging way. But with the reading ending in that Nine of Wands, I feel like that's a pretty accurate feeling here. And hopefully we've learned from this, and we don't repeat that mistake again. We've seen how wounded we were, or the person we hurt were. Yeah, and that's how I would read this little sample reading that has no context whatsoever. So it could be a totally different situation depending on who it's talking about here. All right, so the Page of Swords. We have the Five of Cups. Five of Cups and the Fool. Wow. Okay. So, So the Five of Cups has a lot to do with focusing on things, focusing on loss rather than what we still have. Like, we've lost a lot here, but we still have something to hold on to. And I feel like that Page of Swords is a lot more confident and looking at those and paying more attention to what we have rather than what we've lost. Which is smart of the swords, but it's wanting to improve that situation, and maybe taking some risks that maybe they're not quite ready for. That could be a case here with the Fool. There could be an energy of, wanting to make this situation better and leaping off. And I'm seeing this more in the more challenging aspect here, the more negative aspect, but leaping off from this here we go, and thinking we're making the right choices here, having a new, I don't know what words I'm trying to say here, but yeah, in general, I see this as sort of wanting to improve a situation and maybe going in half-cocked. Yeah, that's kind of how I would see this here. There's an eagerness here to improve this situation, and it could work out, because the Fool is one of those cards where, like, leaping before we're looking, but it's really a 50-50 here. I would say with this reading, there would need to be more information for sure. All right, so the Page of Pentacles here. We've got the Chariot. Okay. So moving to these better prospects and being that new person at a job or a situation, something like that. Ooh, but then sort of that fearing this new, like, okay, I see this kind of as a narrative here. We're moving on to a new job, and now we're sort of timid in this new job, and we're afraid to take risks. So without any context, that's how I would read this. We have made that move. We've moved from a previous job to a new job, and I'm just using a job as an example here, but we can insert any X situation, moving into this new situation, leaving the old behind, and we're very much new in this position, and because of that, we're a little timid. We're a little afraid to take risks now. So that could be the reading here. All right, now we're on to the Knights. With the Knight of Wands, we have the Ace of Wands. Wow. Wow. So that's a lot of fire energy here and a lot of acting on this is it, you know, if the pages were impulsive, we've kind of taken that to an extreme here with the Ace of Wands powering that Knight of Wands. And we have the Six of Pentacles. What a fascinating turn of events here. Wow. So maybe I'm sort of thinking of this as an activist. We've got that fiery, passionate energy, that spark of energy from the Ace of Wands that's really I almost feel like this Knight of Wands here has a blowhorn, and they are really trying to stand up for those that are left behind. And I definitely see this as an activism reading here. Like this Knight of Wands really wants to help others, and is maybe being a little too fiery about it. And there's a possibility that we need to step back a little bit, but yeah, in general, I see this, you know, when this was first starting, before I pulled out the Six of Wands, I was thinking that this could take a negative turn, and I feel like I've kind of been reading a lot of these in a sort of negative tone or a more challenging tone. But then I pull out the Six of Pentacles, and now this feels more positive. And like there's a righteousness to this Knight of Wands, and a standing up for the little person here. But I mean, that could take a negative turn. I mean, it really depends. Sometimes people can be a little too overly eager, you know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely get an activism feel from that. Very interesting. All right, so now the Knight of Cups, the romance. King of Pentacles. Knight of Cups. And the Moon. Huh. So, I feel like with the Moon representing a sort of duality, we've got these two competing energies here. We have the King of Pentacles here, who is like incredibly successful and authoritative, very disciplined, a very disciplined kind of energy, the King of Pentacles. And by the way, this card's in this deck, I really love this card. Just the look of it, the whole energy of it. I really like the King of Pentacles in this deck. But anyway, so there's this very disciplined energy of the King of Pentacles. And we have that juxtaposed here with the Knight of Cups, who the King of Pentacles is very practical, very wise, but there's a romance to this. There's an impulsiveness, like I said before, with the Pages and Knights both kind of have that impulsive energy. But there's this level of wanting to not act so practically and go off of emotion and listen to your heart instead of your head and heart, sort of. That's kind of what I'm feeling here. Even though swords is often associated with the head, in the King of Pentacles is a very practical person, or a very practical feeling. And so I do see this as a sort of head and heart duality, and these two things are coming to head here with the Moon, and a not knowing where to move forward, because we've got that duality of trying to listen to our head or our heart, and do we take the more practical choice and the more disciplined approach, or do we loosen up and go with our heart, because there's risks with that. The Pentacles card isn't really, it's not so much of a risk taker as it is a taking action based on practicality, whereas the Knight of Cups is acting more impulsively and more with matters of the heart. So yeah, and the Moon is just saying there's this conflict here going on. There's no solution here. It's more that the Moon is saying, yeah, this is going on. there's a level of, I don't know what to do, because should I take the practical approach or the or should I follow my heart? And that is, it's just the moon here. It's just laying out the situation. This situation's going on. All right. So the Knight of Swords, the action card here, the King of Wands, Knight of Swords, and the Magician. All right. So I would read this as a person who is definitely a natural leader. I mean, the King of Wands is a natural leader. Most of the kings represent that leadership type of energy. And then, especially with the Magician here, a magician is a master of their craft, of master of the situation. It's kind of that mastering energy and has everything they need. So it's got that leadership energy with both of these cards. And this is a leader that takes action. I would say this is a very strong leader, very decisive, knows what they're doing because it's got that intelligence level here, and has everything they need, and it's putting that into action with that Knight of Swords. This is a very decisive person. It's someone who has taken on that leadership role, and it's putting the money where their mouth is, and going into action. And that's exactly how I would read that. All right, last one. We've got the Knight of Pentacles, Three of Swords. Wow, Three of Swords with the Knight of Pentacles. Maybe they've been wounded and hurt in the past, and that's why they're proceeding cautiously here. And then the Six of Cups, so that nostalgia energy. So I think the reason this Knight of Pentacles here is so timid is because their heart has been broken, or they've experienced that heartbreak possibly in their childhood. I mean, it depends on how we're reading this card here. We could say these two cards are sort of explaining the Knight of Pentacles actions here of taking things slowly. Or we could say that we've been hurt in the past, and that's why we're being a lot more timid and cautiously moving forward. But the advice could be to look to our parents, or look to people in our lives in our past who have really helped move past situations like these. We could read it that way. Or like when I see this, I really, this trauma could have been caused by, it could have been a childhood trauma, or this trauma is something that is making us cautious, and so we are looking to those better times, or we're looking to the lessons we were taught as children, or by our guardians, or something like that, to help us move forward. Either way, we could read this. And it really depends on the context of the reading. So, yeah. All right. So, there we go. That is all the pages and knights for the Pacific Northwest Tarot. The next video, we will do the Queens and the Kings. All right. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. See you later. Bye.